better make sure all my stuff.
There it is.
There it is. We're live.
So, let's see. Maybe. There we are. Yep, we're on.
All right.
Hey, and Faja.
Yeah, we got Faja. Yeah. Hello, everybody. This is Nugget and GOGETEMM-Gadgets, and I got Brent with me. This is GOGETEMM-Gadgets Tech Talk with Nugget and Brent.
Hey, everybody.
See you guys. Yeah, there you go. Faja, I got Faja, Bumsy. Sweet. We're going to be talking about some cool
Hey,
gadgets.
there's Rose. What up, sis? Jared,
Yeah,
I just see you guys popping in.
Yeah, my thing's slow.
Cheers, everybody.
So we were. Brett was. Oh, she's in here.
Yep.
You know, the funny thing is, I have no mods because I don't want to set that up yet.
Get it.
I gotta get Shug to work on my YouTube. You know, the GOGETEMM manager. She's busy right now, though. Right, Shug? But yeah, we'll be talking about thing. Brett was wondering about my Firefly, which I set up back there.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Yeah, I had to bite my
that.
tongue a lot, guys. I had to so Nugget and I have been on here chatting a little bit prior to, and I'm like, oh, I can't ask that yet because I'll ask you that on the show. I'll ask you that on the show. I'll ask you that on the show. Yeah,
there's a lot of it. We were getting going already. I'll get over here so I can hear better.
There you go.
All right. So where do we want to start this?
Well, I do. So, all right. So, on where was the location you guys were just at? Oh my gosh.
Oh, the Skywalker Fire or Skinwalker Fire.
Yeah. So you pulled out that Firefly and you showed it off a little bit, which was awesome. But of course, that was a tease to me. I want to know more about what you got there. I'm sure everybody else does too. So I say the first thing we start off with is give us a rundown of what you got. Did you build it? Did you buy it? How does it work? And what are you expecting? Like, what are you not expecting, but what is your goal with it? What are you hoping to use it for? What are you thinking? You know, what if it goes off? What would that tell you? There you go.
Well, we found out it's more capacitance build, as you can see, which means it actually reads.
What's your distance from that? What was your distance?
Actually,
a few inches?
Yeah, actually a lot more than that.
Okay.
It reads,
awesome.
I'd say, because the antenna's right here in the middle.
Okay.
So I'd say my hand is probably about 4 or 5 inches away.
That's pretty impressive. That's awesome.
And it's already reading, and then it's hooked up to the oscilloscope, so I can actually see even slight variations. Clearly,
yeah, that oscilloscope.
Yeah, that I actually like. I think I'm going to build that circuit just for it, so I can use it on this oscilloscope more.
Yeah, the oscilloscope is definitely a tool. It's a nerd tool. We love that, us nerds. And if they weren't as expensive, I'd have one. It's not something that I'm going to try and build at all. But I will probably get one eventually too. So what does this oscilloscope show you?
It actually reads frequencies, so I can read different frequencies. Like when I turn this on, I can actually see. If you see that, I don't know if you can see that real well.
Your sleeve's in the way of it.
Okay, here, let me throw it on top here. So you can see the wave inside the wave. Well, let me.
Yep. There it was. Real quick,
Yeah,
Amethyst, what's up? Tessa. Who else just came in? Woken, what's up? Thank you for joining. Yeah, so I mean, understanding that the frequencies is so. I mean, it's just it's very cool information to have. And again, if we're going to try and get away from this term of pseudoscience for paranormal investigation, and actually end up on a science side of this, then having more technical instrumentation and understanding that is where my heart is kind of leading with it, on the tech side.
Yep. That's kind
So
of
seeing
my
you do
same
that,
feel here.
yeah,
Because one thing about these is they're technically not a science instrument.
yeah,
Because if it was, you would have schematics. You'd be able to just, like, if I pull my multimeter apart, you'll
yep,
see where I could tune it. Even that oscilloscope, I could take that, send it in, and have it tuned, or I could do it myself, but I won't.
right,
But I can literally send it in, have it certified that it's accurate.
yep, exactly. And so when we're looking at frequency and the different the frequency range, especially when we're looking at the electromagnetic spectrum, that's going to help understand what a spirit is actually able to do. What are they actually able to manipulate? So different tools, like something that uses capacitance versus something that that is on the RF level, looking at an EMF or a magnetic field versus electrostatic field versus an electromagnetic field, and be able to put out different tools that can gauge an interaction of each one, understanding how they work before we put them in play, understanding what could make them a meter or the oscilloscope actually change its wave pattern or make this sensor go off, understanding what it's supposed to do and what could do that, baselining, and then putting it on the field and seeing, okay, if this goes off, I should be able to understand the environment around me, have things to gauge that, and determine, is that just a natural event? Did a light get turned on? Did a Wi-Fi signal just come in? And if you can take that out and determine that it wasn't that, now you actually have grounds to build on for, okay, this could be paranormal, and it gives a clue as to what they're actually able to do. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. My goal is actually to figure out, to eventually, I know this is way down and maybe beyond my generation. This may be the next guy that takes over paranormal. But basically build an instrument that could say, you bring it in, it goes off, and there is a spirit there.
Right,
Basically,
exactly.
Get that exact frequency, tone, light, color, that you can actually detect this like that and know it's there.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you have like the REM pods that people buy right now, and they've got like 4 to 6 different colors and tones, and people put them out there, and a lot of people have no clue what the blue light is versus the red light, or this is supposed to be temperature over here, and this is this, but like, it's the only tool. Okay, if you know this is temperature, then maybe get a thermal camera or something, even just a thermometer, out there, and see, okay, did you register a temperature drop? How much of a temperature drop? And so forth, and have stack on different technologies that can do that. Now, if you had that and it actually showed a display that said 62 degrees and all of a sudden it dropped to 54 degrees and that went off, great. That's another piece of information there.
Actually, we had that demonstration. Well, that is why me and Shug have not suggested using the REM pods. We suggest the Thermin kits, like you guys use.
The Thermin, okay,
because
cool.
That is one sensor, and if it goes off, you know what's setting it off.
And exactly. Good.
There is. Oops, sorry.
No. Go.
There's one device I saw at the Ringling that actually has what you described. It has all those sensors, but it has meters for each one. It's an
okay.
EDI.
Great. Yes.
And it can record it. I might go into that as soon as I have time. Again, I'm busy with other stuff. Is actually designing one that can be monitored live. So you can have 2 of them, open the computer, and just watch what's happening.
Exactly. All right, so I want to read this real quick. So that Awoken wrote, I've always thought spirits live in the quantum world or on a subatomic plane, and our current technologies need to find those frequencies before we can explore the afterlife world. It's an interesting, very interesting, when you think about, when we get into quantum physics, things get so interesting. And I've actually been kind of curious along a similar line to that. Like, we have this perception in our head that this spirit is right here with us. He's standing right here and almost physical, right? Like there he is. He's right there. And I've wondered if it is more of all right, so we understand quantum physics, especially with particles. We know that particles can be in different places all at once. It's until you measure it that it actually appears, and it's right here. All right. It could be anywhere, right? It's just when you measure it, it has to be finite. So it's right here. And I wondered if when we're doing this, if it's along that same quantum kind of physics realm where when you open it up and you put something that can detect, then their presence or their effect of their presence is at that moment there. But it doesn't mean they're physically in this room all the time. Not necessarily. Just when you open that ability to, detect them. Interesting theory there. That's very good, Awoken. Sorry.
I like that one because I've always had our bodies have energy, a lot of energy. Well, like Einstein said, energy cannot be destroyed.
Right.
So when you pass away, that energy's got to go somewhere. It doesn't just gone. It's got to be out there.
Right. Exactly. And it's just a matter of determining what form. Obviously, the physical body decays, and the energy of that body, our cells goes out in a different whatever, depending on how we're this body is treated after we leave it. But that whatever you want to call it, the spirit, the soul, consciousness, whatever it is, yeah, I believe it goes somewhere, and it has to have it has to be made of something. It doesn't necessarily have to be mass, or matter, but it has to be something and therefore measurable, and like you said, it has to go somewhere.
Yep. You can't destroy energy. It has to be transferred.
You can only change states. That's it. So very, very good stuff. Very interesting. And so that comes down to the different thing. Well, let's get back to the Firefly real quick. So I don't think we really covered that all together. So the goal of that device, it works on capacitance, right? You said that?
Yeah, so it would store like something getting near it. Basically changes the frequency and increases the power, basically, from the
right. So so capacitance, if everybody understands a capacitor, it stores up a charge, right? On one side. So capacitance stores electrical charge. All right. So capacitor builds up an electrical charge. And if an electrical circuit, when it stops producing current can still flow through a capacitor, or the electrical current can flow through a capacitor. So it builds up its capacitance. So when you put your hand over there, you're changing
my hand.
Yeah. So you're changing the polarity there of electrons, and you're moving them to the other side to actually create current to light that light. That's capacitance. So the question is, if they can do that, how are they doing it, right? That's the big question. First thing we want to know is what makes it work. I know if I put my hand over here, I can make it go off, right? Here we go. Nugget, if you don't mind me bringing out one of my toys.
Oh, you bring that thing up.
This is actually a literal toy. So this is my daughter's old xylophone. Let me see if I can. So this is a xylophone, all right? She stopped using it, so I was going to throw it away. It actually had one problem with it. I was going to throw it away, and it was on when I went to throw it away, and I didn't touch the top, I just had my hand over it and it went off. And I was like, what? So, of course, me being curious, I took it apart and I realized that it wasn't it wasn't percussion. All right. So it's going to do a startup here. All right. But I realized it's capacitance. I'm not even touching it. And it's going off. And I was like, that's capacitance tool. All right. So this works with the same principle as Nugget's Firefly back there. And I can be like, hey, can you hit, a C note or whatever, and see if they can hit a certain note. So
you got to take that to an investigation, because if you get music out of there, that'd be
I'm
awesome.
probably going to bring it this weekend. Jared and I are doing an investigation this weekend, so I'm probably going to bring this. And I mean, you never know what you're going to find. So my brain works like this. You're like, hey, what do I got laying around? My wife gets on me because I hoard electronics. All right, I'm an electronics nerd, so I hoard little things. Like, don't throw that away. I want that motor. So what are you going to use that for? I don't know yet. So, stuff like this. My brother, that's right. So, that's right. Jared, yes, right? We're going to use this. So, stuff like that. Think outside the box, and you're like, okay, can they use that? There's nothing that should make that go off. All right? There's just sitting there. I can leave that on, and nothing should make that go off unless it changes that capacitance. Now, I can tell you, I can set that in this humid room. Now, unless water builds up on there, so a water droplet, that may set it off. That might set it off. But
but that you're going to know.
Exactly. I could be able to look at it and say, nope, that was whatever. So that's understanding the environment we put it in and keeping it in the control setting that we want. And if it goes off, then we have something to say, wait a second. Nope, that should not have happened. Right? So with the Firefly, same thing. Okay, if that goes off, that oscilloscope starts. Do you always have the oscilloscope with it?
I might build a new circuit. Not always. Like the first one never had it, but I'm like, you know what? Because every now and then we wonder, is it working? Because sometimes it drains the power.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered what could be going on. So I thought,
what does it operate on right now? What's the power source? Is it DC voltage?
I got
just batteries.
Yep. It's normally a 9-volt battery, but right now I'm running it off my power supply at 8.5 volts.
Yep. Very cool. All right. So anything portable, I love that too. Obviously it's so much easier to get stuff moved around. I've got I don't even know where it is right now, but I have a little battery generator, a little battery pack that actually switches to AC voltage that I take with me on investigations, just in case we need AC voltage and we can power something. I can power a small refrigerator with that for 4 hours. So, that's the way to go.
I'm looking at getting the same thing. I mean, they're not bad. They're like a couple $100, and you get a nice big, they'll run stuff for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Because my laptop battery always dies. Shug's always complaining. She's losing batteries, especially when spirits start draining stuff.
And I mean, how often have we run into that? And that's another thing. It's like, that is a statement we hear all the time. I know this battery was charged fully before, when I left or when we got here, and now it's completely dead. Now, I will say a lot of the batteries I have came from Amazon, so they're not the best batteries, even though they may have high ratings, and they may not hold charge that long. Or maybe the first time they did, but after that they went kaput. So it's like understanding, okay, what could drain a battery, right? What could drain a battery? What could short it out? What could keep it going longer even? And, so it's all that understanding that kind of plays into this as well. And I really haven't looked into that. But that's an important question. Does it, if your battery's drained real fast, does it mean it was a spirit?
Yeah. Well, the one thing, my camera always used to drain fast, especially on investigations. I used to get maybe a couple hours. That one time I went to Hell House and used the radio to charge the house.
Right.
I noticed my one battery lasted almost the whole thing. And I'm going, that's not normal. I should have gone through both batteries.
Right.
So that tells me when the battery lasts a lot longer, there clearly was something draining it.
That's interesting. Exactly. Yeah, especially when it's something like that. Let me read through some comments here, see what we got going on before we move on. Let's see. Woken again saying something. As awesome as it is, it's more awesome you guys are making these devices. Yeah, I think you and I were having that talk earlier before this. So actually, I'll use it as a kind of quick segue. So Deb, our sister Deb, a few weeks ago had asked Jared and I to look into the what do you call it? The paranormal tripwire or something like that. EMF tripwire,
Yeah.
EMF tripwire. So
She
the
yelled
EMF,
at me about that.
yeah. So and I looked into it, and essentially he's got two different versions. I'll just stick with the one. They're both the same thing, just one's bigger. So he's got a 12-foot version of it, and it's got 10 EMF sensors on it. All right, he hand builds this. Each, it's got more colors than just like a K2 meter, but I think it only goes up to like 25 or 30 milligauss. I don't know how accurate it is. I can't speak to that because I have not seen it. But if I go by what he's saying alone, essentially he's giving 10 of these units. All right. So this is a cheap knockoff K2. It still costs $25, on Amazon. And he's giving you 10 of them in a row for $220. Now, $220 sounds like a lot of money, but 10 of these would be $225, right? He's giving you them in a row, hand building them himself to create this thing. So that's not a ripoff. I don't think that's a ripoff. I don't think he's gouging a price at all. But I will say, if you could build this, he's not spending $220 to build it. He's building it and charging that, and I think it's fair. But if you could build this, then you could make your own unit for half or less the cost. So I agree with building our own. Good.
Yeah. One thing you said is it's all hooked up to one power source.
Yep.
That's one thing amazes me. This is actually something that was bought. The thing that depresses me
yes,
most
no?
about Yep. The thing that depresses me most about it is the fact that there's two batteries on here, which means they just took two K2s, slapped together, charged, I think she said $60, $80 for this.
Right.
They could have at least did some wiring and made it run on one battery.
Change the wiring up, and I agree. Jax, what's up, sis? Hey, Jane, welcome. Deb, I see you in here. So, another thing, going back to that real quick, if you're not wanting to build stuff, obviously there's nothing wrong with buying. We have gear, right? You bought gear, I've bought gear. We all buy gear.
Oh, I still buy gear.
Yeah, but you made a comment to me earlier, and I do the same thing. I buy gear, you buy gear, and then we take it apart.
Yep.
What do you guys do? What are you guys doing? We're looking at it like, okay, I see what you're doing in here. I see your circuit. Get online and say, look for schematics. How do you build whatever, an EMF detector? How do you build this or that or the other? When they came out with, I think it was Deb again, brought up that paranormal music box. All I did was go on and read what he's saying. The creator is saying it is. How does it work? What is he claiming that this operates on? What technology? And it's just a transducer. And what gets me about it is they say things like, hey, it says work on a transducer. I have no idea. People say this can detect spirits. I don't know how, but it seems to work. And the kicker is we know a ton about transducers. The technology in the technology world, there's a ton of information about transducers. We know what they're designed to do, depending on the application. And we know everything that can trick it into going off. So present that information to people. Don't just say, hey, everybody says this detects ghosts, but we don't know how. But you could say, this is what it's designed to detect. This is how the application is supposed to be used. These are the things that can trick it into going off. Now, if you have that information, you can say, okay, is what it was intended to detect in the way? Did a physical object just move in the way of the sensor? No. For transducer, if the temperature of the air heats up or cools down in front of it, it changes how fast sound waves can pass through that air, and it makes it go off. If a high screech, if another high screech ultrasonic sound hits this transducer, it will go off. So if you present that information to people, now they can actually make a logical decision on whether or not what just happened was paranormal or not, because you can put another instrument in line. You can put a thermal camera in with it to see if there was a temperature change, right? You can get a sound meter and see if, especially if it detects ultrasonic, and see if it goes off, outside of this one, out of the range. So there's different things we can use, and understanding that technology ahead of time. And then therefore when applying it, we can make the determinations of, hey, this should not have happened. I've looked at all the controls, because that's what science is. It's a letter of controls and repeating experiments to come to an outcome that should be repeatable every time. There you go. And that's how we're going to get to that kind of point.
Yeah, like Shug's music box. Hers worked off of a microwave.
Really? Okay.
Motion sensor. And what I found, so the difference with that one is it basically does it rapidly, but it'll scan the room.
Yep.
And then it'll rescan it, and if it detects like a change, like our radar.
Yep.
So basically, it's a radar. If it detects a change, then it sends a signal to go off.
The interesting thing about that is with radar, so it's looking for a physical mass to reflect sound back to it to see if something has changed in its field of detection, right?
Yep.
It's looking so then you have to ask the question of, okay, what else could it have been if it did alarm and nothing physically changed in front of it?
Well, one problem she had with hers is it false alarm, because when they built it, they just set the sensor in there. So all it would have took is something bumping that, and the sensor would have moved.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's not secure, you're hosed. It moves. I have this is just a little garage sensor, and I showed this on our channel. Transducer connects to a little light. That's all it is. There's no sound on this one. All right. You see, it just went, I don't know if you can see it. It went red right there. Right. But I built this. This is just scrap wood and a couple screws, so I can set it down, and it is, stationary. As long as you don't bump that table, then it shouldn't go off. And if something goes in front of it, there you go. You see the light changing color because I'm putting my hand in there. But if, the things that I think about a sensor like this, like I look at it like a paranormal music box, same thing. How could a spirit set this off? They don't have mass as in a physical body. All right. We would definitely be able to see that, because light would reflect off of it and we'd be able to see them. But I know that temperature affects this. I've set this up over my stove. All right. So I have the above range gas fireplace. Above range. Turn it on cool, so that heat is right there. Plug this in, so it's kicking right over. All right. It gets used to that, the heat. It knows how long it takes to reach that wall over there, passing through the hot air, and then turn off the burner so that hot air instantly cools, and this goes off. Right?
Oh yeah.
It didn't detect anything physically, but the air, the temperature of the air, the molecules of oxygen, everything in our atmosphere here, shrank down. Right? Heat expands. So now it travels differently. So if a spirit can change the temperature of the air, which we've heard, and I've experienced that, then that could be why this could work. There's a theory.
Well, look at a laser. Shine a laser through fire. You'll see the actual, or like when you're looking at the light, you see.
Yes.
Like I don't know, it distorts.
Distortion? Yeah.
Yeah, because you can see with the massive heat to the cold, even light will distort.
Exactly. Yep. Very true. So again, it's looking at what the technology is, and that's what we're here to kind of talk about, different technologies. So we went 30 minutes in so far. There's a lot of tech out there that's being used. I think there's a lot of tech that isn't being used that could be valuable. I've got one other thing I can show you if you want that I've been messing with.
Yes.
So, all right. So we all know the K2, meter. A lot of people use these. There's a lot of different EMF meters that are out there. Some people use these. I like this one as well, just because it gives an actual reading. All right. It actually gives temperature. So this is a multi-tool, and I like multi-tools. This one is more of a quick kind of, did something go on. There's not much you can do to them outside of turn them on and let them do their job. But when it comes to EMF and, was that big running theory is that, that spirits are either made of EMF, you hear that, or they're able to manipulate EMF, or their presence even maybe creates some form of EMF. That all sounds great, and it seems interesting. EMF is everywhere, though. That's just a fact. Especially, there's existing EMF in nature, but especially if you're in a man-made home, there's EMF everywhere.
Right there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. If you have Wi-Fi in your house, guess what? There's EMF pumping. So the first, I showed a while ago, people talk about EM pumps, right? So here we have my little K2. All right. I'm not doing anything. I know I can bump this. Everybody knows that. And it'll go off. But I definitely noticed that this fan, all right, because it's got AC current running to it, it builds up an electromagnetic field just because of that. And it's actually a pretty powerful one. All right, that's instant red there. If I turn this puppy on, all right, at this far away, I'm at 8 milligauss right now. All right. 122, 190, it just went to OL. All right, it went to 199 and then stopped. 199 milligauss, just pumping from that guy. So, okay, that's cool. What does it really tell us? I don't know how much. So, I took, here, let me do this. I found this little kit on Amazon. All right. And what this little guy is, I had to solder this together. It was, I think it was $6 or $7. All right. You see a little light blinking? All right. What it comes with is a little microphone. And it's just, I can't remember the name of the tool now all of a sudden. But if you play music, it'll dance. All right. It just uses a microphone. And from the compression of that microphone, it will, I'll show you, make the light move. So, boom, 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 boom. All right, can you see that? Boom, boom, boom. All right, it's moving that light around. All right, so if I come over here and it just moves the light. So I said, okay, that's interesting, right? So all it's doing is it's looking for a close. All right, it's a normally open circuit here, looking for a close from this microphone, and it's going to change position of this light. And if you put music on, it really goes. I mean, it dances. I was like, all right, how can I use that to my advantage for an electromagnetic field detector? So what I did is I took a little reed switch. All right, I don't know if you can see it. A reed switch is just a glass tube with two thin pieces of metal. All right, and it's sealed, and it's got two legs coming off of it. And if it's designed to detect a magnetic field. Usually you use it in, like a door contact or something like that. All right. So a magnet comes to it, it gets closed, you remove that magnet, it gets open, you get an alarm. So I took that reed switch and I hooked it up to this circuit. Now you can see the light, it's just blinking, it's not changing state. And then I took a permanent magnet and put my reed switch just outside of the pool of this magnet. All right. So this magnet will not affect this reed switch. But I wrapped that magnet in a coil of wire and turned it into an inductor. All right. And closed the circuit so that if I put it in front of this fan and I get the right angle and cut through a magnetic field, then I should be able to see and detect the frequency of that magnetic field. All right, so we'll see if I can get it to. Whoop. There you go. Can you see that lighting up?
Oh, that is.
Do you see the stream? Okay, look. So and now we can see the frequency. Ready? We can see the frequency and the strength of where this magnetic field is. Because if I turn this fan, this is all directional too. I'll eventually be able to break it by moving it out of the field. All right. So I can find the threshold of that field. There it is. If I turn this fan down, so I just dropped it to medium, and now I dropped it to low, and I've totally lost the magnetic field of the low. We move this fan a little bit. Boom. There we go. Now it's back. All right. I can speed it up and slow it down. So this is a tool that can be used in the field better than this, because this is going to be great. All right. But I built this knowing exactly this has to be a strong electromagnetic field. The flux lines of that magnetic field have to cut across this coil just right to make it go off. All right. And depending on the strength, there you go. I just killed it. Right. And there it is. So if you were to put something like this out in the field, which is much more, it takes a much more to make it go off, and it went off in the field, sitting on a table, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you could make that go off. You know, I know this could make it go off because I understand electromagnetic field being produced, but there you go. I mean, and now we can see exactly how, and I turn that fan off and it dies. Right? It's done. Now it's just one blinking light. Isn't that cool?
That is very precise, too.
And I mean, this right here, all in all, cost me, $8 to build, very low tech design. I mean, technically, you don't even need this part. You could just get a regular LED, which I have somewhere, and hook it in line with that reed switch and put a battery to it and just power that one LED. And if it went off, it would just blink as that electromagnetic field changed and open and close that reed switch. Simple, cool stuff that could show, okay, it's one thing to say this. People are like, oh, can you make it go to red? Can you make it go to yellow? Can you make it go to green? That's great. But it really doesn't tell us exactly what they're doing, how they're doing it, and so forth. This one is, no matter which way you're going, it'll go off. All right. This is a 360-degree circumference or almost like a 360-degree globe around it for detection area. This is very directional. So if this goes off, it'll tell you exactly, if you're thinking about it, how they actually were able to produce an electromagnetic field that would cut through that.
Yeah. I will say, though, those EM pumps, don't buy them.
Don't. I agree. Oh, I agree. Go ahead.
That fan put out 10 times more power than that little EM pump. All that is actually a motor in a box.
Yes, spinning a magnet. Yeah, exactly.
I saw one of those.
This will at least keep us cool.
Another one I told Sugar about is if you really want to pump energy in, one of those. I had it as a kid where you put your hand on it, your hair sticks up.
Oh yeah, like the plasma ball. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially a Tesla coil.
Yeah, pumping energy into the air. That's all that's 100%. Doing.
Yeah. And again, it comes to. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's good. But yeah, that is essentially pumping energy in. So if you want to pump energy in, something like that would be your best bet than those little EM pumps. They're just a motor. They're
Yeah,
not
and
doing
then
anything.
it's understanding, okay, what really is the benefit of pumping EMF in it? So are we thinking, we hear that, oh, I know it, can you use your energy to manipulate this? What energy are you expecting? So, when we were saying, can you use your energy to make this go to red? They obviously are creating a magnetic field, because this sensor will go off with a magnet, all right, or an electromagnet, all right. So if they're going off, if they're triggering this, then it's a magnetic field that they are either manipulating or creating, right? Something to that effect. So it's understanding what that is. Something that works on, if you get something that works on static electricity, all right? So electrostatic field has no magnetic field. But if they can affect a static electric field, okay, then that's on the electric side of it, right? So it's understanding, putting these different tools out and seeing what they can use. Maybe they can use them all. I'm not saying they can't, but understanding
They'd have to be because
more effectively.
they'd have to be because in order to affect the radio waves, now that would be more of your static electric.
Yeah,
to be able to talk to a radio.
Exactly, and that's a whole So and that, I think that could be like maybe next time's talk is getting into the RF side of it, and Spirit Box and how they can be doing that. Yeah, capacitance is definitely cool. I want to see if I don't know how many tools are actually out there that use capacitance, that people are using like on the market right now.
I really think building them your best bet. Like those thermic kits, what are $20?
Yeah, exactly. $25. I mean, I got that little. This is the one I got. It's cheap. All right. So this micro kit theremin electric kit. This is about as simple as you get. It is, to the, this could be like the build a theremin for dummies. It tells you exactly where to put everything. You can't go wrong. You can't mess up building this kit. If you can read, you can do this. And, I've taken it and tweaked it and done little things and tried all sorts of stuff myself. I will tell you, I think the only downfall to it is this sounder is so loud. And a theremin does not stop. So I actually took, this is actually the breadboard from that theremin. And I actually hooked up this to it instead of the sounder, so that when I go to the pitch up, it excites this, and so I don't have to listen to it. I'm not getting audio contamination on our cameras, but we have a visual that we can see now with this, and that thing starts going crazy and dancing. The only thing could be that something changed the capacity.
I like that because everything Shug yells at me for is when something goes off. If you're getting EVP and that thing goes off and you hear sound, it's
yes. And I mean, that's kind of the same thing with the paranormal music box. I think it's cool. All right, if it works, it's cool. But again, when that music is playing, you're creating an audio that you don't need. The audio is just a signal to you. So now if you're getting an EVP, you're not going to potentially hear it. Where if you just had a light and you're watching it, or you just have it on camera, you may get an EVP when that goes off, plus maybe a thermal camera with it in view, and now that goes off. Bam. Hold on, what are they saying here? We're missing a lot of this talk here. It looks like they're talking to us.
We get into it too much. I can't. I got my glasses. Sorry, guys.
Tessa, what's up? White Wolf, what's up? Skull. All right.
There's one.
There you go. Wow, raising the bar for paranormal investigators, getting more precise hits. Compared to getting random hits. Yeah, exactly. With standard equipment. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, the standard thing that you would buy. Here's one. If people are looking at this meter right here, which we know, well, we're going to tell you, this works on a magnetic field, whether it's a permanent magnet or an electromagnetic field. that will trigger this. Well, how many people put a compass out on a table? And just say, hey, can you change the needle with that compass and point it somewhere else? You know?
Oh, I knew this was going to happen.
What?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Make one of what?
I do it. She's going to see all the stuff I wanted all day.
At least it's cheap and easy to build, man. It's super simple.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of this stuff, that's the goal that's in my heart, is to look at the technology, that's being used, or maybe that we have it access to, but it's not being used. And how can you build it for cheap? You know, if you're willing to try and soldering is not that difficult. I hate it. I was just telling Jared the other day, I hate soldering, but I really hate it because I don't do it that often. Until I got out here and just started soldering again, you know, I hadn't done it in years. I started soldering again, and it's, you know, you watch, if you don't know how, watch a couple YouTube videos, grab a soldering iron, go buy one with some solder, and just buy one of these cheap kits for a couple bucks and start building something. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to solder. And then you can, for, you know, $6, you can build this, you know, and build your own thing. Or just get a breadboard and build it without that. You don't have to solder. There you go.
That is actually, I just soldered the wires together, and basically you've seen on YouTube how they do the free soldering with all the circuits.
Yes.
Like there's no breadboard.
No board at all.
On the bottom of it.
That's it. I mean, it's that simple. If you understand the circuit, it's just that simple. You don't need a board. You just need the circuit to connect properly. And it's honestly, I mean, it's one thing. I know it's kind of so stupid to say because I understand it, that I say it's not that hard to do. But I mean, I have no problem with our family here to get on and do. If someone wants to build one of these, I'll build it. I'll step by step build it with you, show you how to solder, give you some tips and pointers, and we'll build something like this. I mean, I built this board right here took 10 minutes, if that, to actually solder together. There's not that much there. And obviously this is even easier.
Once you learn how to read a schematic,
you'll be
able to pop these out or start being able to diagnose, like, okay, this part does this part does that. You can modify it. That's
the kicker. And you know, when you look at something like this, so this EMF meter, it's got integrated circuit chips. All right, they're called IC chips. So an integrated circuit chip. Actually, here's one right here.
Hold on, I can throw that up. Hold on, what's that?
So this chip right here is an integrated circuit chip. That's all. It's an IC. All that means is what we used to build on this board, they've micro-sized it and put it in this chip so you don't have to build it. All right. You could build the circuit in this. It's just going to take a lot more space. The kicker with that is you really can't do anything to it. It's built that way, and you got to know what that chip does. So they've got a ton of different chips out there. Matter of fact, that made me think the Spirit Box. I want to look at what IC chip they use in the Spirit Box, because the automatic gain control is done in that, and that's one of the things that affects you from being able to get a constant to stop your, the automatic gain control will stop the sweep. So when it gets a strong signal, it'll grab onto it. So with these new radios, we can pick this conversation up maybe on the next one. That's an issue because you can't change that in that IC chip. So like we did the Sanji and trying to hack it a few months ago, and I got it pretty close. I got it usable, but it would still, if it got a real strong RF signal, it would stop on that RF station, on that station. And it's like, dang it! No, we want it to constantly sweep. That's what a Spirit Box is designed to do. So you can't change that in an IC chip. But if you do this, build it yourself, all analog, 100%, you can change anything you want.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing is with those IC chips, they make multiple different ones.
Tons, so many.
Here's some of the basics.
There you go. I love it. Oh, my brother. I'm coming over.
I've got everything from inducers to resistors. I got OP amps, 555s. Yeah, and you can look them up online. I mean, you can research that chip and find out exactly what it does.
And they tell you exactly what they do. So I mean, it's that easy. So if you can find one, great. Now you can put that in your circuit and use it, and you don't have to build the whole thing out because it's perfect. You have what you need. That's why I want to see what they are using for that spirit box. I haven't opened it up yet. Find that, and then there you go. Then you can create your own spirit box. You don't need to hack shack anymore. I have little radio kits. I don't know if I have one in here, but I had a little radio kit that still needs to get built, but the chip, it's all controlled through that IC chip. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it. What else we got? What are comments?
Oh, I lost my plan. I got the
Nicole, don't throw out the invitation. Your wife's throwing out the invitation there.
What invitation?
I'll be flying up and staying with you guys.
This house would be
we wouldn't sleep.
No.
That would be fun.
She's already upset that this house is hooked up to Google. Like, I turned my whole house on and off with Google.
Dude, here I got one for you. Here's a funny story. So, oh man, I don't know if I can say that. You know what? So, all right, here we go. I'll put it this way. I'm gonna leave out the government organization. So my son works for a specific government organization, and he's constantly getting, monthly awards. He's, doing a great job. Well, he came home. You may be able to read into this. He came home from that government organization, and he had won another monthly award. Now, typically it was like, a plaque and maybe a little cash. This time, this specific government organization gave him an Alexa device. And I was like, well, that's all. Wait, who gave this to you? And they were like, that government organization. I was like, no, take it out of my house right now. Because I knew they definitely listening through that joker.
Oh, they listen through everything.
And they do.
Facebook,
anything.
Facebook knows when I pee.
Exactly. They all do. And now we have Alexa everywhere in this house. Shoot. I'm quick to turn them off, though, and close a camera if I can.
Oh, yeah. I used to have cameras all over the house, but now I only have it in like a few rooms that I want to watch, like the kids and that.
Yep.
But any of the bedrooms, they're out of because they're too easy to get into.
Too easy, exactly.
So all right, only like the basement. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Well, there was any other communications here. Let me scroll way up here. Let's see. What was the last one you did there?
I was talking.
Oh, the Nugget. Okay, Nugget made one of those for us, right? Awoken, your newbie at all this paranormal tech stuff. Oh, tech stuff. Okay, I was gonna say you had some theories going on. Good. Okay, see, quick learner. That's really the key. And I'm not knocking anybody who doesn't want to know it. If you don't, there's stuff I don't want to know about. My dad was a car mechanic, and he knows everything there is to know about a car or a truck and how to fix it. Every single thing. My brother jumped into it. I looked at him and was like, I don't want to know. I don't care to know it. No. And to this day, I'll still go to my dad. Like, I've learned some stuff, but I'll go to him like, hey, I don't feel like doing this. I don't really want to spend the money. You want to look at it real quick? Because I don't want to go to them, So I get it. But if you are willing to learn, this stuff is actually pretty easy. You get some basic understanding. And I mean, if you use the University of YouTube or just the internet in general, you can pretty much just do a search and someone will tell you exactly how to build something.
Oh, yeah.
The information's out there. And again, you have people like us that will help people, especially in this community, build something. Throwing out an idea in here in this chat saying, hey, what about something like this? Deb is quick to throw out, hey, this technology is out in the field, on the market right now. Can we build that? Can you tell us how that works and how we can build it? Yep, we can definitely do that.
Yeah. That's well. And then there's like me in editing. I cannot edit. I have no creative. Maybe I could pick up colors for a house and interior decorate. Me, I'll paint it white, call it good. But yeah, I could pop a video together like no tomorrow. I'm still working on what to call it.
Right. You got to turn on this fan. It's getting humid in this garage here.
Oh yeah, I have my AC running here.
All right. You got anything else in here? How long do you want to go? We're almost at an hour. You want to cut it at an hour, or you want to keep going?
Cut it at an hour. Save some stuff for the next trip.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. And some of this stuff can be a rinse and repeat as well, or we can dive down more into a certain something. But Jared said, great conversation, fellas. We appreciate that. What else we got here? Oh yeah, we'll be live Saturday with some of these devices. So
I'm gonna love to see that.
You guys can definitely check that out. And we'll see what they're able to do. If they it's kind of one of those things where if something happens on a live, man, talk about the everything aligning. But I mean, that's the goal, is put it up on the live, and if it happens, great. If not, we'll keep it running and hopefully have a camera that doesn't die, right?
Yep. Yeah.
8 months, I successfully built a circuit board, and even our teacher was baffled how I did it work. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, it just takes playing around. Eventually,
it does.
Clicks and
I don't know if you heard. I made a comment in BTI, so I got my Go Get 'Em signed picture up here. So I mess up all the time. I'll be soldering, I'll melt something. I'm like, dang it, I get messed up, or I'm taking something apart and I break something. I get impatient. I'm just a big ogre guy. And so I mess up all the time, or I think I understand something, I'll mess up, and next thing I know, I'm letting the smoke out. I'm like, oh, I see what I did wrong. That's how we learn. Of course, I got you guys right here. I'm looking right at Nugget, like, stop judging me, Nugget. All right.
Oh, trust me, I ain't Nugget. I put the IC backwards and fried the whole circuit and had to start.
Oh my God, it's so easy to do. Right? Yeah, it's little things. Now, there's ways to know not to do that, but if you're rushing and not paying attention, yeah. But that's how we learn, right?
I don't know how many circuits I've fried.
But the kicker is, a lot of this stuff is cheap. It's not $50 for this. That's just a market value, right, of something. They're not spending that much to build it. So you get the components to build it. And if you mess it up, you've only wasted a couple dollars versus, $300 or $50 or whatever, even $25. You can build this stuff for cheap, learn, and there you go. Next thing you know, you're making your own gear.
A good one to start with is those Arduino kits. That's how I started in electronics, is Arduino kits or electrical kits.
Let's hold that one, because I really want to get into that with you. Let's hold that one, because that's a great conversation piece.
I'll have to look one up for next time. I'll have one because I saw one that's just perfect for paranormal.
Right. I love that. Definitely want to hear it. Tess says, thank you for doing this, Nugget and Brent. It's awesome to learn how-tos and why it works. Exactly. And, there's a ton of how-tos out there. Like, there's a ton of people out there to show you how to build something. The kicker is understanding what it's doing. I really do feel very strongly about that. I think if you can build it, great. But understand what it does, how it works, and what affects it. And then if you're going to put that in the field, baseline it in your house where hey, there's nothing here, shouldn't be at least, right? And nothing affects it. I can watch it for an hour and nothing happens. And then put it out in the field where something, where you've been, right? You've done an investigation, it's active. You have a rapport with the spirits there. And now you put it out and you see it working on request and regularly. And you can look at the environment and say, I know how this works, and it shouldn't be operating right now, but it is. Now you've got some serious evidence to throw out.
You can even back it up with your K2 that you know works. That's why
exactly. Exactly. Yes. Stack up different technologies, different devices, and see how they're going, and start stacking up that evidence.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come. I love that, Nicole. That's awesome. If you build it, they will come. I love it.
We will be building it. All right. Well, I guess we should wrap it up. It's been an hour.
Yep, that was good.
We'll schedule another one, and yeah, this time come up with ideas of. I got some kits I might bring up that might work. Some real good.
And everybody comment if you have something, a technology or something on the market, or a kit that you've seen that you're curious about, or you want to see if we have comments on, throw it in the comments of this video. And, Nugget Donut, I'll be keeping an eye on. I'm sure Nugget will address it. And we'll look into as there's a talking subjects.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everybody. We love you. Thank you for coming. See y'all next time.
Yep.